Ancient aliens, extraterrestrial aliens, and the tree of knowledge. Man, from the first moment he felt the need to imprint his images and thoughts on rocks, caves, and valleys and mountains, and objects from his contact and daily life with beings beyond his own power, which, as testify the hundreds of elements, was daily and was characterized by terrible changes. For the then human element from that moment on never stopped looking for these beings, which either out of fear or out of need or out of respect had called them gods. But what made these beings suddenly abandon man and the earth and stop the direct contact and coexistence they had with then human element? Do they go around the planets and after imparting the knowledge and technology to beings like us then disappear, so that they can take things their own way and see how far their students are capable of going and watching their work without becoming visible, like watchers? Do we constitute for these beings the earth, the experimental laboratory, and man, and experimental animal only, in which laboratory and experimental animal do what they do not want to do themselves, reaping the results of any experiments for their own benefit? Everyone could say and express dozens of maybes about this situation. The point is, which of these maybes will end up being the great and longed for truth in the end? We all know that the world's religions, of which are hundreds, have put a brake on the dream of every human being. Some point he will meet beings from other planets, his gods, or even his creator himself, putting each one separately, inviolable rule that apart from us, here on earth there is no one, and that God created the vast universe only for man on earth, who is a man at the same time and child of the Creator himself. With absolute technological and scientific mastery for many centuries now, people of every power have hidden and falsified all these elements left behind by the various civilizations, wanting to continue their own search, which had almost reached the solution of the riddle, making them to see and calculate with the naked eye only things that we, with the most modern telescopes and with the most advanced satellites, are impossible to detect and even more to understand. It's not at least strange and worthy of investigation that on the one hand there were civilizations which with meager means achieved spiritual and scientific miracles, and suddenly on the other hand we, their successors, found ourselves with clubs and swords in our hands and doing away with each other, and not to prove that our God is better than another's God, resulting in not only losing our touch with our ancestors and with what they left us, but let's go back in time, that is, where man still lived in caves and trees. Almost all people on the planet know that God created Adam and Eve in his image and likeness in order to reap and manage the earthly paradise on earth. Although they cut the first, Lilith, the one cut from the divinely inspired Bible, Adam's first companion, some say, living in absolute peace and harmony with the only condition that they not seek the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and let alone eat from this. But no one took care to teach us that Adam and Eve may have been the primitive people who came into contact with superior beings, and after learning from them language, writing, art, thought, and other things, then they opposed these beings, asking the absolute knowledge which they possessed, as a result of which they collided with the then named gods, and the tranquility and peace of their lives became upon the hell on earth. Unfortunately, as long as some who do not want to lose the power they have over man, and as long as the conditions of proper and unhindered search do not allow, man will continue to depend on his personal spiritual heroine, with which some they will be more than happy to continue sponsoring him. And whether extraterrestrial beings have existed or continue to exist, this is a sacred personal search of each person and each individual soul, driven by a primordial source of logic, knowledge, and evolution. This soul continues its search to find the sacred of the chalice. So in closing, the writer says, I would like to ask a question. Will we ever learn the great truth before our destruction, or will we learn it at the time of our destruction? That's a good question. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.